104.7 The Cave, Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens in the studio. It is Dark Side of the Stream after our little holiday break, episode 117.
We're back, baby.
And nothing to get us into the new year, but a great documentary about a field in Texas where they found over 30 bodies over the last several decades.
Yeah, over decades. That's the wacky part here.
It's a
couldn't be just one guy.
It could possibly be, and we'll get to that in a little bit because there is a theory there, but we've got a lot to go through in this episode of Dark Side of the Stream 117. We are discussing Crime Scene, the Texas Killing Fields, a 3-part miniseries on Netflix at the end of 2022. Incredible story, very sad story. It was rated one of the top docuseries of 2022 with over 23 million total hours viewed. So very, very interesting documentary. What's crazy about this was there was actually a real, like a movie, a fictional movie made before the documentary. So like Hollywood got their hands on this before. And some of the
it was a killing field in Vietnam or something, right? Is that what it's about? The killing field?
No, Texas Killing Fields came out in 2011. It's actual movie about like loosely based on this.
Wow, okay.
So like I said, it was a fictional story that came out before this documentary, and some of the victims' parents were pretty ticked off about this because they felt like it sensationalized this whole thing. Also, the filmmakers didn't bother to notify a lot of the victims' parents, so they were pissed off about it.
The whole thing is shady. The whole area.
It is. The people that did get notified felt like it was a good thing because it brought it back out into the forefront and saying, hey, look, this is happening. And then eventually they would come up with this miniseries in 2022. Over 30 bodies found in this stretch of land outside of League City, Texas. Not too far from a mobile home park, but as it's stated early on in the documentary, when a guy goes out there, takes his 357 and shoots it off six times and just waits for someone to come.
Nobody came.
Nobody comes. So you could literally go back and
do whatever you want.
In this, or at least dump bodies in this area. You ever been to Galveston, Texas, Jay?
No, I have not.
You ever been to Houston?
Probably just passing through.
Like flight, you never. H-Town is crazy. My grandparents lived in Houston when I was a kid, probably in the early to mid 90s for a few years. So definitely spent some time in Houston. We'd vacation in Galveston. So I drove by this plot of land numerous times on I-45.
You're making yourself a suspect now.
Well, no, I was like 9, 10. I mean, when like I was trying to do a whole lot. And a lot of these victims were way before I was able even to walk. So 83, 84. But I probably was walking by then, but definitely wasn't killing anybody. But that was the thing that kind of hit home to me was like, dude, I drove right by this multiple times.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a lot of people drive past it. It sounds like it's a very high trafficked. It just seemed like it was a perfect place if you wanted to be killing people,
or at least dumping bodies.
Dumping bodies, right.
Because in one case, it basically started off with that boy and his dog. Dog takes off through the woods. He chases after it, comes upon a body. They call police. Police come out. They find that one. Then they find another one. Then they find another one. And they're like, oh, God, what do we have here? This was after parents had reported their kids missing, of course, and the police department locally basically said, don't worry about it. They'll come home. See by the phone. They're runaways.
Yeah.
No big deal.
But one father, you got to give props to that guy for taking initiative.
Yeah, definitely. And that was probably one of the hardest things to watch. His his resolve was after losing his daughter and what he's done since then. And we'll talk more about that next when we return. Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave. .7 The Cave. Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens back in the studio. It is Dark Side of the Stream episode 117 discussing Crime Scene, the Texas Field Killings. So basically this started in the early 80s when they found the 3 victims, but then since then they went back and they started finding a lot more out in this area near League City off of the I-45 corridor. Mainly the bodies of young women. A lot of the women, at least in the early 80s, also had the same kind of description, brunette,
Yeah.
kind of the same age, between 15 and 18. But this goes back as far as like the early 70s, literally like 71, 72, that this area was used as a dumping location for bodies. So that brings us to our next thing, which was the man who lost the was Laura Miller. Was
I
that
think is her
that
name,
it was
yeah.
her, or it was either her? I want to say it was either her or it was her. Anyway, basically, one of the guys lost his daughter, and he went to the police and said, "Hey, look, my kid's missing. She literally was just walking home from the gas station after using the payphone there. It was half a mile." The cops were like, she ran away.
Yeah, the cops blew off a lot of stuff.
And then he's like, no, you don't understand. She has seizures. She has to take this medication twice a day. If she doesn't have it, it's going to be really bad for her. And the response from the detective was, she's resourceful. She can find her own medication.
Yeah.
As a father, what would your response be to that, Jay Stevens?
Yeah, it's tough to put yourself in this kind of mindset, but I could see this guy ended up devoting his life to basically not only trying to find his answers, but also to help other families. And still, he's been involved in huge cases, his team of people to go out and search fields, search lakes. Like, I mean, it's a bummer, but that was the light at the end of the tunnel, that this guy made his goal to help other families.
He basically takes out a horse and helps families try and search and locate.
Yeah, he's got a team now,
he's got
guys.
a team. Doesn't charge him anything.
Yeah, doesn't charge
he's
his
made that his
families.
life.
It's incredible.
And it's just it's giving me goosebumps
Yeah.
right now just thinking about it. Like all the people talking about him, like just
I mean, it's like his origin story, I guess.
It kind of goes along with if you're the type of personality where you have to control things. When you feel out of control, you start cleaning your house, you start a little project so you can actually control something that you can control.
Oh, wow.
Because you feel out of control, like you can't control what happened to your kid. And I think that's what's going on with this guy, because that helps him deal with the process, as essentially not being stuck in a house, just dark. I lost my kid. This is awful. I hate everything. It's basically, I can at least control this and help families when no one really helped me. And that was hard to watch.
Yeah.
Very hard to watch.
Gnarly.
And again, the inaction of the local police department in there, like I said before we even started, no wonder 33 bodies were found in this area. And they don't know who did it,
right,
because those cops weren't doing anything, man.
He almost had to go vigilante justice.
There were so many,
they wouldn't take his leads and stuff.
It wasn't just him though. That's the thing. Like there were so many other victims' families that were like, "Hey," and they ran away. It happens. Now, yeah, it does. But at the same time, like I don't understand why. It was a small department, you know what I mean? And until really the FBI got involved, they really couldn't do a whole lot. So it's just it's a circumstance that it's horrible to see for the victims and their families, because obviously these guys are able to run rapid and kill as many people as they wanted. And now I don't think it was just one guy, but the documentary sure wants to paint it as one guy. And we'll talk about the suspects next. Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave. "104.7 The Cave." Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens back in the studio. It is Dark Side of the Stream, episode 117. Crime Scene, the Texas Killing Fields on Netflix. So we could go through all this, the victims. There's 30 plus, 33, I think is what the exact number is, over this 25-acre patch of land near League City, Texas.
And over 30 years.
Over starting in 71 and as most recent as 2006, I believe. So obviously there are some suspects. The one person that they point out in this documentary series is Clyde Hedrick. And this guy was released from jail in 2021 after just serving 8 years for the death of Ellen Beeson.
Right. Well, they didn't know. They couldn't even pin that. It was like the abuse of a corpse or something.
Yeah, they couldn't
couldn't even pin any actual murders on this
prove that he did it, but they could prove that they could.
He said she died swimming or something. And
then he freaked out and that was it. He once said he had murdered 4 to 5 women. He was in the area. He definitely could have had something to do with this.
Shady guy for sure.
Very, very shady. And they point the direction at him. Now, when you look at, if you go to Wikipedia, there's an actual page that talks about this specific place. And you look at the dates and the type of women that were happening, where they were seen last and all this stuff. I don't think it was just one guy.
Right, very hard to be one person.
It was
be a
probably,
busy dude.
yeah, it was probably like one guy for an active amount of years before he moved on or got caught, and then another guy for an active, because there was a jump between like 88 and then the mid 90s, it starts up again. And it went pretty heavy for like 96, 97. Then again, it stops. And then in 01, it starts up again. And there's a couple in the 2000s. So that's the thing about this area is like that area. And that's what they keep coming back to, is like the perfect body dumping location.
Yeah.
Which it's unfortunate that's what we're talking about here, is like, oh yeah, there's this field.
Go down there, you can get away with whatever.
Want to get rid of somebody? We can tell you where to go. Right off there, I-545. And you want to blame someone, but you really can't. I mean, this isn't the only place in the United States where like a place like this exists. I can't remember.
It's almost like a cursed land or something.
They could, dude. If you want to go get to like EVP, like do some paranormal investigations, we need to send a team out there to the fields and have them do some paranormal investigations out there. You know what I mean? See if they pick up any EVPs, orbs, like any kind of things like that.
Indian graveside,
dude. It'd be nuts. It'd be crazy. I wonder if they've actually done this. We need to look into that. But bar none, it's an unfortunate story. It's a crazy story. But like I said, this isn't the only place that exists like this in the country. There at least isn't in the northern part of the country a stretch of interstate where it's been known to be a dump location because it's so remote. And what the theory is that a lot of truckers, or at least certain truckers, would pick up, prostitutes at gas stations or people hitchhiking and have their way with them and dump them in this stretch. And it's the same thing. It's just an opportunity in a location that people kind of know about. And they just say,
kind of like that lake in Vegas that's now popping up all those bodies, which is a lot of mob stuff. And in New Jersey too, a lot of there's a dump spots for the mob places. So there's it's a theme, I guess.
Not a very good one. We'll get to our thoughts on the review of this documentary, The Killing Fields, next. Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave. .7 The K. Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens back in the studio one more time. This is Dark Side of the Stream, episode 116. We are discussing the Killing Fields documentary on Netflix. I would give this at least a hard 3.5 fields, if not 4.
Yeah, probably the same. It was good. It's interesting. It was a little bit slow at some points, but I mean, incredible story.
There's a lot of information to pour through. I mean, you're talking about 33 plus bodies, multiple suspects.
And like I said, that father who has made it his life to help families, like it's deep, bro. That's gnarly, man.
It is. It's a heartbreaking story, as we're both parents. We both got kids.
Imagine, man.
And it's just, I don't know what you would do. I would have to go down the path this old man went with this search and rescue thing. I'd devote my life to that.
Justice.
Just because at that point, you have to be able to control something. You can't bring your kid back. You can't control that.
And if you're not getting the help that you're asking for or feel you need, like, you have to do it yourself, man.
It's horrific. It sucks. It sucks to be in that position. I can't even imagine. And my hearts and thoughts go out to them and their families. Hopefully this doesn't keep happening in that area. Maybe they should just pour some. But that's the thing. They can't, because now it's basically a great it's a plot of
crime scene.
Well, it's a crime scene, but it's also a funeral plot, man. I mean, you go out there, you see crosses all over the place. That FBI agent walking through, and he's just around crosses. You're like, you think you're,
wow. Yeah.
It's sad. It's eye-opening.
For my pick, I have not really a happier note, because this is a wacky, twisted story as well, man. And oh gosh, all right. So my pick will be also on Netflix. Don't Pick Up the Phone.
Ooh.
It is about a series of calls to fast food restaurants where they would make the manager, over the phone, they would make the manager strip search an employee. And these managers went along with it. The guy said he was a cop.
Until one actual manager stood
Finally,
up and
somebody
said,
goes, "Wait a minute, this is not right."
"Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
you
but-
want me to do what
But this
again?"
is after hundreds of this thing went down. Like, oh, it's crazy. It's how can people be so stupid? But it's sad.
People are stupid.
Don't pick up the phone. That's what we watch next week.
Pick up the radio.
Yeah.
Every Thursday, 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. Jay Stevens, Mike the Intern. You can also stream this live on Facebook Live or YouTube every Thursday. I'm Mike the Intern. This is Jay Stevens reminding
We
you
watch
we watch
documentaries,
movies, so you don't have to. Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave.